You are about to journey against the current of contemporary thought and beyond the troubled waters of daily news to the very source of our extraordinary culture. You are going upstream with Cashill and Edge.
Well, Loy, I haven't checked my email yet today, but I suspect probably after I left this morning, the offers from Hollywood Talent Scouts are probably pouring into our box after our last show on the most valuable person in America the last year or so. But today, we're going to round that out with the MDP, the most destructive person, which should probably be more fun.
That's more fun.
I'm Jack Cashill, by the way.
And I'm Loy Edge.
And you are listening and watching Upstream with Cashill and Edge.
What's that about? Why do you call it that?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It, of course, derives the title from the quote by Andrew Breitbart, the late, great Andrew Breitbart, that all politics is downstream from culture. And we figured, you and I, that we would leave the politics part to the plebeians there who have nothing else to talk about and go upstream to the source where the culture lies and talk about that.
So on this deal, with the most destructive people, now I made some notes here, but I kept out all people who were elected to public office.
So did I. Good qualification. Yeah, we're on the same page on that.
So some of these people might still be in government, but they're just in and out of government.
Right.
They're not elected to.
Right, or in and out of government people, in and out of people who work for government.
Who wouldn't?
In the case of Chinese spies and whatnot.
Right. Old in and out.
But I should say, too, that this show comes courtesy of Real Media, which is our mothership here.
Yes.
A wonderful full service production facility in Overland Park, Kansas, that is politically simpatico to anyone who's watching this show. So if you're interested, look up Real Media, Overland Park, and they will
it's a great facility.
Yeah, I've used them before for other services. I do a lot of video production. You've done a lot yourself.
I wish they were around when I was doing auditions. I would have done them all out of here.
Yeah, no, it's a great studio, great people. And so let's, do you want to start or do you want me to start? Most destructive person of the year. This is an honor, by the way, that the top person, I'll be interested to see if we coincide because it's a rare person who gets to destroy an entire culture.
Yeah.
Especially the world's greatest culture.
That's right.
I mean, that's not to say they've succeeded in destroying it, but they've taken a good whack at it. If our culture is the Berlin Wall, they're the guy out front with the sledgehammers.
That's right.
So who do you got?
I'll start with some of the lower level
Okay, give me some.
Agitators.
Okay.
And the ones that I find regularly horrifying, and I know they're coming from a real bad place, is Morning Joe and Mika. And I don't get to see it very often, but I'm working out in the morning. I've got access. This is God's truth.
Right.
I do not have a television set.
Okay.
Haven't for probably decades.
Which makes you an expert. Usually the kind of dispassionate view on the culture that others of us who actually watch TV lack. Right?
That's right. I'm a real drive-through viewer, drive-by viewer, in that it's only when I'm on that elliptical machine,
right?
And there's nothing else on, and I flip through it, and so but Joe and Mika, I mean, I've watched in horror as they present the most cockamamie, radically wrong, anti-American, crazy on any issue,
right?
It's like they're the first ones that scurry out of those meetings where they go, well, here's some crazy crap.
Here's our talking points for today.
Let's try this one.
Right.
This is the opposite of the truth.
Right. Right. Now, it's odd because I had Joe on my list, and he got squeezed out by others, but he would have been made my top 12.
Oh, really?
But I agree with you. And what makes him particularly egregious is that he was a Republican congressman, right?
Ooh, yeah.
No, but when he was in Congress, he was pretty he was not a rhino.
Really?
So he knows.
He knows better, yeah.
That there's another side to the issues that he presents.
There's got to be something with the the death of the intern or whatever.
All right, the intern death.
Somebody's got something on that guy. 'Cause
an intern,
you can't
by the way.
get that You can't just go, okay, I'm evil.
An intern did die in his office. I would not attribute to him for fear of libel suits, but there are still some unanswered questions on that one, you know?
Yeah, I didn't say he killed her, but...
Say what you will about Bill Clinton, but his interns at least survived, right?
Well, yeah.
And became famous.
So far.
Yeah, right. If Monica Lewinsky made it through 1998, she's going to live forever. In fact, I'm of the opinion that she was saved by her nemesis in office, who exposed her.
Really?
Yes. Now, there was a good series, Impeached, that was worth watching. It's a rare series that is. It was the American Crime Story, and they did like an 8 or 10 part series on the whole Monica Lewinsky deal. It was remarkably fair. It really shocked me. And they had a good cast. Clive Owen, British actor, played Bill Clinton much more effectively than you'd imagine.
Is he still with us?
He is, yeah.
Amazing.
I don't know about the producers are, but it's a. But then, So they were on the cusp of my list.
Well, Mika's really, she adds to the evil. So I mean,
yeah, she does. She's kind of attractive.
She's the Natasha to his Boris.
Right, but her father was like national security advisor. She's a big new.
He was a very, very, very bad guy.
Brzezinski.
Yeah. If you dive into his writings, I mean, he'd fit right in with Klaus and the gang right now.
I'm sure he would. Yeah.
Yeah. Eugenics, the whole deal. I mean,
yeah.
Horrible, horrible guy.
And of course, Mika got her job entirely on her merits. Her last name and her connections had nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
I have my representative of the culture at the bottom of my list is Stephen Colbert.
Oh man.
He's one of the late night.
You talk about a punch me face.
Right. He's one of the late night puppets that are mouthing the same words. They have one puppet master, and at least Jimmy Kimmel. They got Jimmy Fallon. I got.
In
Stephen
fact,
Colbert.
I would lump them into one person.
Right.
Because they are the same.
They are indistinguishable.
They are indistinguishable, and they've got the same. I mean, the only thing that separates Colbert and puts him into that rarefied, most annoying of the most destructive was that one skit they did on the vaccines with the dancing and the singing.
Yeah.
That's all you'd ever need to see.
Well, in fact, I think what distinguishes him also is that none of them are funny, but he is. I've never even smiled when he's never been funny.
No.
I don't understand his appeal at all. And he's like pious and lecturing. And what I think deserves special attention in his case is that he professes to be Catholic. He often professes to be Catholic. And yet he supports not only abortion, but every conceivable idea that flouts natural law and ordered morality,
Is that bad?
Sometimes. Not in California, but otherwise.
Let me cross off Pope Francis here.
See, I don't want to go
Not
that far.
most destructive. Okay. Anyway,
we're talking American here.
Okay, all right.
No, I mean, Pope Francis merely sort of enables and flirts with, whereas Stephen Colbert endorses.
Who's he to judge?
And he's so pious. And he's not funny.
He's back to talking about Colbert now.
I think you and I, Loy, should take those spots. I think we do great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm up for
Hollywood,
it.
you listening?
More
okay.
Hollywood calls.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's a good one. I'm going to jump to a different profession here. Well, it's kind of the same. Zuckerberg.
He's on my list, yeah.
I mean, that...
Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Meta, which is the
Meta.
mothership for Facebook and Instagram, et cetera.
And Meta it is. I mean, you think about how, fortunately, that's not really taken off, I don't think.
What's that? The Meta brand?
Yeah, I think that was kind of like a little lead balloon action when they came out with that thing.
Yeah, I think it was just a way of distancing himself from Facebook a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
But, they shadow banned me on Facebook, that's how pathetic they are, right?
You'd be the first one I'd shadow ban.
I have about 5,000 followers. which is by Facebook standards, a drop in the bucket. But it's
You got the best Facebook friends list.
well, thank you. I know many of the people on my Facebook friends list, but unless I'm posting my Wordle scores, they shadow ban me. So I used to get if I'd post an article I wrote, I used to get 50 to 100 likes typically. Now I get 3 to 5. And the articles I have more friends, and the articles are no less provocative and engaging, as is my won't. But they
won't.
And then what they'll do, any article that mentions COVID or climate change, they'll put a warning on top of it.
Yeah.
Which is pathetic.
It's really ridiculous.
Because I'm always right. I mean,
That's why you get the warning.
Exactly. That's right. They want to censor truth, not falsity. They want to censor information, not misinformation. And that's just on. I have Zuckerberg too, but not only that. Well, he looks like a Martian. I mean, looks if someone came out of a
or
right, it's like
a machine. He really kind of looks like one of those Japanese lifelike robots.
Yeah, right. AI kind of
AI
character.
deals.
And not that I hold
Uncanny Valley.
Right.
He creeps you out when you see him.
But he also was responsible to a large degree for Joe Biden winning the election in 2020 by putting in all these drop boxes all over the place, which is
and the money.
Right.
The Zuckerbucks, as our pillow friend calls them.
Zuckerbucks. Good choice. And Harvard guy, so there you go. I don't think he graduated, but I don't think he needed to.
I didn't either.
We're the Winklevoss twins when we need them, just to put him in his place. Let's see who I got. I got Mark Zuckerberg too, so I'll move on to my next one. This is back to just sort of random cultural stuff. Kim Kardashian.
Okay, she has really molded young women.
Right.
Helped bring women to a whole different level in America.
Right, and expanded their butts, if nothing else, and made that fashionable in a kind of bizarre way. But
yeah, I've seen some of those in real life out there.
But think about
That's some crazy stuff.
Walmart, they're
crazy stuff. It's like, is that a thorax? Are you a wasp?
Right. It's an amazing fashion statement. And one that just defies all natural aesthetics. I mean, you look
would think.
Look at thousands of years of Western sculpture, painting, etc. You see nothing like that.
It took cable, man.
It took cable because you needed that wide screen to be able to accommodate.
That's right.
The megabutt, but the look how she came to fame, and this is what's really.
Was that a porn film or amateur?
Even before that, the reason we know the name Kardashian.
I'm one of those people who've never seen the show. I'm sure. A lot of people brag about that, and I'm one of them.
I've never seen the show either, but I know enough about it.
Right.
I know that she has over 200 million followers on Instagram.
Wow.
200 million.
Really?
Yes. So she is. Of the influencers out there, she is probably the most influential. But she came to the name Kardashian. You know how it entered the language, how we know about the Kardashians, correct?
No.
Sure you do. Her father was O.J.'s best friend. Remember this?
Oh, yeah.
O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
And
crazy.
And if you look at the evidence, it seems altogether likely that when O.J. got back from his suicidal drive up the 405, which everyone in America who was alive at the time watched, he passes off this bag to Robert Kardashian, which probably contained the knife that he used to kill his wife and Ron Goldman, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman.
Now, wait a minute. Are you making news here?
No. Everyone knows that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not even. It's beyond conspiracy theory. It's into the realm of the generally well believed.
It's a new category, I guess. It's true. Yeah.
So anyhow, now the Kardashians had a shot at fame, and then the Mama Kardashian seized on it. Someone in that family leaks Kim's sex tape or porn tape in which she's the star, and then her name is emblazoned in our national culture. She takes over from Paris Hilton the role of like famous for being famous, and leaves Paris Hilton way in the dust. And now there they are, and she and Chloe and all the others. Then Bruce Jenner marries into this bizarre family, right?
Kanye West.
Kanye West marries into the family. She has 4 kids with Kanye West.
I could never figure all that. I thought it was all a sitcom, and Kanye wasn't really married to her, and Bruce Jenner wasn't really a trans whatever.
Right.
And that it was all just kind of
made up for the TV. No,
cable show.
I think it's kind of the real thing. I think they lived their lives to make it more entertaining for the millions of Americans who watch their show.
A lot of us do that, but we have a sitcom in our minds.
Right.
We're called narcissists.
Yeah, that's what we call ourselves.
And then and so they're like, wow, if my life was a cool story, what would I do next?
Right.
So they're just doing that.
Right. I'd marry, let's see, what can I do now? I'll marry the world's best athlete circa 1972 and change him into a woman. That would be presto, right? That'll be great for ratings. Bruce, you okay with this? Oh, yeah, sure, honey. Yeah, let's go ahead. Because he's just walking around in the background.
He seems to be a real easygoing gal.
Yeah.
Just like he was Guy.
Right now, I mean, I hate to say
he's
this.
one of the guys, but he's a gal. I mean, I've seen him on the golf course with these guys and shooting the bull with guys on the tee box, and he's like one of the guys, but he's...
And as he said, it was harder to come out in Hollywood as a Republican than as a woman. Which was, I think I don't doubt that for a minute. I mean, think how hard it is to be Republican. They're denaming the Ben Carson grade school in Detroit, right?
Oh, yeah?
They're taking his name off the school, right?
Are they?
They are, yeah.
Huh.
What are they going to call it? Paul Robeson School? We got a lot of those around.
No, they got to call it, who's the guy?
It's not going to be the Kanye West School.
No, not anymore. The one that they were yelling about justice in the streets for that guy.
Oh, George Floyd.
Yeah,
George Floyd High.
George Floyd High
right,
School.
Sure, right. You major in getting busted on, and starting riots.
Have you got cocktail napkins too?
Yeah, I know. Actually, back in an envelope. Who do you got next?
I got Bill Gates.
Okay.
Worldwide philanthropist or whatever he is.
Meddler in chief.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the guy is just out of control. I don't trust it.
No, not at all.
Thing he does, and all he can be lumped in with all these people that run these international. What do they call it? Foundations,
NGOs.
NGO.
Right.
There's a term that ought to really piss everybody off.
Yeah. All right.
Non-governmental organization. Hey, there ought to be like 3 governmental organizations, and everything else ought to be an NGO, and you should never have to use that term.
Let's start with the Department of Education, but that's
exactly.
another thing. No, you're right. Actually, Gates has done a couple of good things, like bringing clean water to Africa, but I distrust even his motives on something like that. He comes from a family. His father was a big honcho in Planned Parenthood.
Right.
They're
eugenicists.
Right, exactly. They've been on the front lines of the ZPG movement, zero population growth. And now he is.
And he's talked about using vaccines for population control for years.
Right.
What's that mean?
Yeah. No, you're right. He deserves not top billing, but certainly is indicative of that kind of internationalist, globalist.
Oh yeah.
Who's ends up doing more harm than good, and he may even intend to do well. I don't know. May intend to do good. He doesn't strike me as evil. He just strikes me as deeply misguided.
Well, I think he doesn't strike you as evil because he very carefully wears fuzzy pink sweaters and wears little glasses and has kind of a
nerdy,
nerdy haircut. Right. And I think if he actually appeared as evil as he is, he would be much more like another guy that I'm sure
Lex
is on
Luthor or
Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab, who only by dint of his not being American was he kept off our list here. Right?
He's on mine because he affects America.
Oh, he does that. And it's odd because I would say if you asked 100 Democrats who Klaus Schwab is, I don't think they could tell you.
You know what? This is a problem.
Yeah.
Because they really don't understand the nature of the evil that we're facing.
No, and it's left to people like you and me to alert them.
That's right.
And at dinner parties, the people don't want to hear that. And, of course, you want to be polite and not tell them about that.
And you want to get invited back.
Yeah, exactly. I was at dinner the other night with family. It was very nice. And I wasn't going to make any waves for anyone. But one of the fellows there was a Kansas State graduate. So I thought I would bring up the fact that this guy, Sam Brinton.
Oh, yeah.
The luggage theft, the nuclear waste manager who is stealing ladies' luggage.
He's so hot.
He is like, imagine, people who don't know Sam Brinton, imagine you in drag without a wig and lots of lipstick.
And really red lipstick.
Right, exactly. And very bad flamboyant dresses.
I've got to talk to that boy.
Now put him in the White House.
Problems with that lipstick that
put him in the White House and arm in arm with Rachel Levine, and you've got a site you have a site that so empowered the rest of the world to think they could conquer us for the next 15 minutes. But he gets caught twice on 2 separate occasions. Yeah. Once after he was busted, and he steals again a lady's bag off of airport carousel.
Right, he did it twice. This is a bonus, by the way. He's not one of the most destructive
No.
people.
He would have been top 20 maybe, but he's good for relief, and we'll talk about him maybe in the next episode. But I wanted to talk about this with these people who get their news from CNN or wherever, and then I realized it would take so much explaining to get. They didn't know who he was, or they didn't hear this story at all. They're the kind of people who the fact that a high-energy official wears dresses to work and big red lipstick and is bald would be troubling. So there were too many hurdles to jump over before I got to that.
I have shown on the golf course,
yeah.
And I do have friends that vote very wrong,
right,
very wrongly, and I hear these MSNBC superficial talking points,
right?
And I keep saying, hey, really, the people on the other side, like where we don't really care that much about personal issues like that. We more like policies, procedure,
right?
What the culture and things like. And then I realized they really didn't get into anything at all. I showed him Klaus Schwab. I said, do you know anything? No. And I started explaining, well, there's the shadowy group. It's called the World Economic. Right. And they've got this thing, and they're in a high tower, and they got the crazy, and they wear the outer space suits, and they're bald, and they say things like, you will eat bugs, and you will own nothing and be happy. And I showed him. I said, here's a speech from the guy.
Right. This week he was telling us that we have to outgrow our dependence on private automobiles, right?
Yeah.
Well, he takes private jets from one, party to another around the world,
Yeah, and he watched it, and he's like, what is this? Is this? I said, this is what you should be worried about. This should be your enemy.
Right. But they don't know who he is. I mean, they don't know.
Donald Trump is a jerk.
Right. You would get your news from Fox News, right? The other report. Okay, while I'm on Sam Brinton, let me throw his running mate out here. That's Rachel Levine, who is now, what is she, assistant Secretary of Health or something? She was Surgeon General. I'm not even going to use she. This is like a 300-pound guy who dresses up as a woman. Still has all of its parts, as far as I know. But
it's a dude with lipstick on.
Right. And a very, even as a man, Levine was homely and fat. As a health official, although the Belgian health official is fatter than Levine, if you've ever seen that one.
Mm-mm.
And the Los
But
Angeles
don't fat shame.
Yes, I will. If you're a health official, you better be in shape. You can't come in at 300 pounds. I'm sorry. You disqualify yourself automatically. It's like a 300-pound ballerina. It just doesn't fly, literally. It doesn't work as a concept.
No.
But anyhow, Rachel Levine, why I elevated Levine on this year's list is because now Levine is shaming people who would dare protest the mutilation of adolescents so they could become the next Rachel Levine, right?
Yep, you're right.
On the positive side, if she's the model to which a young person would aspire, Levine must discourage a whole lot of people from ever wanting to transition. If this is what they end up looking like, right? They'd probably better.
It's hard to see where the win is on that. No. It's like, who wins?
Yeah, right.
When you go from man to woman, where's the big value added?
Where's the payoff?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I have to say that I saw this. Someone put this up on Facebook, on Twitter today. I was looking at it. And the question was asked, and this answer is going to be a little crude. We've kept this pretty clean, but this joke doesn't work without it being a little bit crude. And the question was asked to pose to people, what is the feature on a woman that you least like? And the one guy answered, a dick, which was just totally perfect. Because now...
but I'm bummed.
Right. The Oxford English, is it the Oxford OED? That redefined
I believe it
female?
was redefined female it, to include people who think
they're female. Right. Yeah. Boy, I think I'm a genius.
What the hell is that all about?
Honestly. Who else you got? What's next on our list here? We're counting down, by the way, the most destructive person, the MDP of the last year or so. Cultural MDPs. We're keeping elected officials off the list.
I've got one called, I lumped them together, the Ladies of the View.
The ladies. That's a good choice. Excellent choice.
The Ladies of the View say more wrong shit.
Now that we've broken the good language barrier.
That's right. I'm trying to soften it, but they just flat out. I mean, they're like a bunch of crazed ravens.
Right.
Just calling out.
It's remarkable how unembarrassed they are to say things about which they know nothing. There was one that came up a few weeks ago, and I'm trying to remember who was it that they were talking about. They were talking about someone on the right who modified his or her name. And it'll come back to me. But Sonny Hostin took the lead in this. How dare they change their name just to try to anglicize themselves? Or, it's like Tony DiBenedetto calling himself Tony Bennett or something. That wasn't the example, but it's something like that. Says Sonny Hostin, whose real name is Asuncion, right? Who has tried to anglicize and whiten herself, No. Oh, no, she actually tried to blacken herself, because if her name was Asuncion, then you think she was Hispanic. So she's that. And who's sitting there at the head of the table but Whoopi Goldberg?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Right? Was she born a Goldberg? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Right? I don't think she was born anywhere near a Goldberg.
Were they talking about Jerry Rivers?
No, Geraldo Rivera.
Geraldo Rivera.
Actually, his real name is Rivera, by the way. But
is it?
Although he has a Jewish mother, but he has a Puerto Rican father, of which he's very proud. I met him once.
Did you?
He was very nice to me. He was surprisingly cordial. That's given that I'm such a relative peon compared to Geraldo Rivera.
He probably thought you'd be a good wingman.
Yeah, and then he emailed me a picture of himself shirtless. I don't know what that was about, but he's like that.
He's a hunk.
Anyhow, was that yours or was that mine?
Yeah, that was mine. Ladies of the View.
Okay, I got a guy who's really an up-and-comer, although he may have up-and-come, and that is Yoel Roth. Yoel Roth.
Well, no.
He sounds like a guy from Krypton, the planet Krypton, like Jal-El and whatnot, Yoel.
Yeah, which one is he now?
He was the chief censor.
That's right.
At Twitter.
At Twitter.
At the Public Integrity and Safety Commission.
Because I got the other guy that has a similar name.
Yeah. But what's amazing about him is that the way who was he?
I got him down to Yoel Roth.
Oh, you have him down. Okay, yeah. Yoel Roth. And he went to the University of Pennsylvania, wrote his PhD dissertation on Grindr, the gay pickup site, And the sub part of the thesis was how to make I will say that he tried to be diplomatic about how he went about this, because Grindr apparently doesn't allow minors to use their platform. But he wanted to find a way to include minors in some benign way, right? And
Got to get them started.
And his real passion is pornography, and he considered himself the porno king. And he's gay, of course, and not of course, but he's gay, and lives in San Francisco. It's sort of probably a natural place for him to gravitate to. But the really terrible thing is what he did to oversee the utter corruption of the 2020 election, and his role as censor-in-chief for an organization that was so wildly out of control.
And that's something that all the cable watchers, the people that get their information in sound bites and headlines, they have no idea of how dastardly and how obviously they stole that election through the social media control.
No, I mean, they still don't know about Hunter Biden's laptop.
No. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And if you bring it up and say, would you get on Fox News?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. But Roth was like the censor-in-chief. I would love to know how he ascended the ranks, how he ended up in that job, whom he effed to get there, It's just that.
Well, that whole exchange is all about blackmail and influence peddling.
Right.
And I mean, it would be fascinating to know what is that currency
that
got them to that
allows
point.
you to ascend that ladder.
Yeah.
And because I wrote my PhD dissertation at Purdue, now number 1 in college basketball rankings, those care, at least as of this moment, on the capitalist as hero in the American novel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would get me nowhere at Twitter as a door opener, right? But to write on Grindr, which is probably responsible for half the STD cases in America right now. STI, by the way, they changed that name. I don't know if you know that.
Mm-mm.
Some socially transmitted. I think it's an infection, as opposed to disease. You see. Yeah, it's another one of those word weakenings that allow you to pass off as good something that's evil.
I got good news and bad news. You don't have an STD. Oh, thank goodness, doctor. You got an SDI. Oh.
Well, that ain't good. No, so just take some penicillin here and you'll be okay. All right, let's see. Who else you got next?
Well, since we're doing names like that.
Yeah.
This Yuval Noah Harari or whatever. I probably as part of this assignment, I should have figured out how do you actually say the guy's name.
That would be.
But this Yuval Noah Harari or whatever, he's the spiritual leader of Obama and Klaus Schwab and all these people.
Right.
And the guy's, supposedly the most brilliant Democrat strategist and the most brilliant philosopher and anti-theologist. The guy is demonic.
Yeah.
He's absolutely demonic.
What is what would you say is his most demonic feature? Is it the tail or the horns? Or is it more subtle than that?
I mean, and the way he just literally calls out Christ is a fantasy and a ridiculous, and Christianity's I mean, the guy he's completely anti-religion. He's a hardcore eugenicist and nihilist, basically. Right. And the fact that Obama and all these people vaunt him, they just say this is the greatest mind. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. I've seen him.
Look him up. Do you know how his name is properly pronounced?
No. I just.
It's something like Yuval Noah Harari or Harari.
Just mumble it.
I'm Tom Brokaw. It's about Noah Harari.
No, I've heard of him, and people his acolytes talk about him as a divinity.
Oh yeah, they love him.
Yeah, he fills the role for them, that hole in their lives where God
fills that God hole. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, he's but he too could be from the planet Krypton. Yuval and Yoel,
Yeah.
You read Superman comics as a kid, right? I mean,
I did. I read Superman and Batman and all that stuff.
Okay,
But that was
good.
long before they went woke.
Yeah, right. That's back when they were,
Kicking bad guys' asses. And
right,
stuff.
exactly. They were apolitical, though. I mean, they weren't out there.
That's right.
Putting Stalinists in prison or anything like they might have done. Okay, moving towards the top of my list, Patrice Couleurs.
Ooh.
Do you know who she is?
No.
I put her name in like a Google search, and they end up patisserie. No, it's not patisserie. It's Patrice. She is one of the co-founders, the most visible co-founder of that utterly subversive organization called Black Lives Matter.
Oh, she's one of the mansion gals?
Yeah, right. She's the chief mansion gal.
Wow.
I mean, she's got, she could be on Lifestyles of Rich and Famous if it weren't for the fact that she's a Marxist. She got a couple big California mansions on not mine, but the donations of many, would-be woke.
And look at this kidney-shaped pool. Unbelievable.
Robin Leach, right? Was that guy?
Robin Leach.
Right?
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Yeah, I don't know if her
I love
pool's
that
shaped
guy.
like a kidney, but I don't know what it would be shaped like. But I've been onto these people from the beginning because they started in July of 2013 in response to the innocent, the not guilty verdict in the George Zimmerman case. Now, I wrote a book on
which you're very familiar.
I wrote a book on it. George is a friend of mine, although George has gone ghost, by the way, as it's much safer for him to have done. And it was obvious. The whole thing was a lie from beginning to end.
And Joe and Mika were the first to start spreading that lie, and this was before it was identified that he was part Hispanic.
He's half. His mother's Hispanic.
Right, but they didn't know that at the point when they were first released.
Right.
Zimmerman.
Right.
Oh, Zimmerman.
I will say I had a few years ago, I had lunch with him and his parents. And we were talking, and he's named George after his uncle Jorge, right? And I said to George, if your parents had called you Jorge, no one would have ever heard of you. You would have been Jorge Zimmerman, and the media would want to have nothing to do with this case.
That's right.
Instead of ruining your life, starting Black Lives Matter, destroying much of America as a result. And George says, you're absolutely right. And then a wonderful moment, George's mother turns to his father, who died recently, by the way, unfortunately. And she says to him, I told you we should have called him Jorge.
Oh.
She was right. That's how it started.
You got yourself right in the middle of that family beef.
Right. So it begins with a lie, and then it reinvents itself in 2014 at Ferguson with another lie. Hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up, don't shoot.
And they've been
Total
lying
lie.
about everything ever since. And, and not to mention billions of dollars of damage was caused in 2020. Not off a lie, but a series of half-truths involving George Floyd. And I could go into it. I'll do that
For
another
all
show.
of the people who might be accidentally listening to this, who don't know that Black Lives Matter is a bad, bad, bad thing.
Marxist.
They're trained Marxists, as they self-describe.
Right.
That it is a
gender fluid Marxism.
It is a complete scam, and I want to talk to the people who have those signs in their yards.
The Black Lives Matter sign.
Okay, number one, those suck. You look like a fool.
You do.
But number two, if you've got one of the new ones, the super stylish version 2, which is simply a little white sign with a black heart in the middle, you have no idea how evil those signs look and how appropriate they are and how much they reflect what's going on inside that house that has that little black heart in the yard. Get them out of your yard. You're an idiot. An idiot.
And while you're at it, take down your Ukrainian flag and stop Asian hate signs while you're with it.
That's right.
Not to mention, in this house we believe.
Stupid.
No.
Love is love, hate is hate.
Science is real, and love is love. Science is real, right? Tell that to the COVID people. Okay, who else you got?
Oh yeah, back to this. Sam Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried.
Oh, SBF.
Now, he's probably not considered by half of the country right now to be a bad guy, or damaging, or anything, because he's got that post grad flip flop, cargo short, messy hair. So how can he be wrong?
Yeah.
But that's one evil bastard.
It's an odd look that is emerging. It's like the COVID shut-in look, right? Where you roll out of bed and you don't comb your hair, and your T-shirts are stained with yesterday's Campbell's soup or whatever, and you're there, right? No, and he's what was curious is that when he was arrested not too long ago, they arrested him the day before he was to testify before the House committee. Now, the Democrats weren't eager to hear him, but the Republicans were, because they wanted to know how many millions of dollars he donated to which Democrats and to what effect.
There was a whole circular money laundering thing using our friends in the Ukraine.
Right.
That was all a big money laundering deal.
And speaking of which, he's got the Zelensky look down, right? I mean, they look like birds. They look like brothers in arms, right? Their
well,
T-shirts,
and that's because they know how to market to those suckers.
That's right. Right.
And this is all by design.
Yeah.
And that whole "not your daddy" look.
Right.
I mean, half of these people that are mentally ill in the whatever you want to call that leftist party, they're mad at daddy. They got daddy problems.
Oh, sure. There is a lot of that running through.
And they know how to, manufacture an image
right.
that is going to appeal to those people.
Yeah.
That, they fancy themselves as real revolutionary.
Okay, number 2 on my list. I'm near the top. I only got one more destructive than this. I put Michelle Obama.
Oh yeah.
What Michelle did, and I'll just give you an example of what she did during the White House, is what she racialized everything. Her husband might not have been so bad had she not been there. Like she's like a little devil on his shoulder, with the little pitchfork saying, "Oh no, it's everything's racial. Everything's racial." I just give you one example of how it works. In 2011, I believe it was, she goes to, no, it was later. It was 2013, I think. She goes to Target as incognito, just to see what it's like to be out in a Northern Virginia Target, dressed down, just another shopper, her hair up and, bandana or something, and getting away with it. And she's telling this story on David Letterman. And she's having the best time telling the story. And I got away with it. It was so much fun. And then I think, this woman's walking towards me. I'm busted. I'm going to be busted. And then the woman says, "Ma'am, could you reach up and grab me that thing off the top shelf, like a can of something?" And Michelle says, sure, And then she starts laughing. She was short. I was tall. She just wanted me to help her get a can down, right? That's the story that she told on David Letterman. Post-Ferguson in 2014, she's interviewed by People magazine. Now the story is this. Same encounter. And anyone can look this up if they don't believe me. She goes and she says...
And the lady says, "Can I touch your hair?" No? Okay.
It was, here I am, even though I'm the first lady, barely disguised, right? This woman clearly recognizes me, and she treats me like the help.
Oh.
She says, all I'm good for is getting something off the shelf for her, right? It was so evil. It was such an evil moment. It so encapsulates who she is and why I think the Democrats changed their primary lineup to lead with South Carolina. That's a state that Michelle would win in a walk. Whereas
so
in
you
Iowa,
think that's what?
I think that's behind it.
I
think
wondered what was going on with that.
If Jim Clyburn, as a congressman there, calls the shots, 60% of the voters are black. He threw it to Obama in 2008 after he was supposed to stay neutral. He threw it to Biden in 2020. And Iowa just got totally disenfranchised. I mean, they got humiliated. Democrats will not carry Iowa in the near future. They didn't carry it the last two elections. But she's my number
That'll
two.
teach them.
I could go on and on, but we're kind of running down on time here. So, who do you got? Are you number one yet?
Well,
I think we got to agree on number one. But
if we're keeping with, you want me to go to number one? I mean, I could throw Soros out there. I've still got Fauci on the list. Is that your number one?
I got Anthony Fauci as my number one. Yeah.
Okay.
Who do you have as number one if you don't have Anthony Fauci?
It has to be people not elected to office.
Right.
Joe Biden.
Yeah, you win clever points on that one. Selected, not elected.
That's it. But, we should talk about Fauci a little. Nobody else is, right?
Right. Well, it's certainly not on the left. He's still a patron saint over there,
This is fascinating.
And, I told you more than once that he and I went to the same high school.
That's right.
Which is a Regis High School in New York City, a Jesuit high school. And the difference between a Baptist and a Jesuit, right?
No, what is that?
Right. Baptists know they're not Catholic, which is the Jesuits are make-believe.
That's right. I thought it was going to be another dancing joke.
No.
Okay.
But Fauci, I mean, it almost doesn't need explanation.
It doesn't, but here's how the Praetorian Guard has protected this guy. This is another thing why the people who watch cable, the people who don't take the time to do any deep dive, long form interviews where they can look in people's eyes and hear them respond to hard questions. They get everything from the headlines and the sound bites and the Joe and the Mikas. The fact that Anthony Fauci sat there, and we all saw this, all of us who are aware of this stuff, watched him sit there and say, in Donald Trump's administration, there's going to be a sudden outbreak that'll be a pandemic, and it's going to cause them problems and blah, blah. It's like, you don't just sit there all cocksure and say this kind of thing.
And they war gamed the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the war gamed the response to it.
Yes.
And, it's rare, because he was playing a double game while Trump was still in office, wanted to keep his job, obviously. Yeah. So he'd throw some bones to Trump. But he was cutting him down behind his back. And then once Trump left, he could say whatever he chose, however stupid it was. And he was saying, by the way, I forgot one of the names on my list. I'll throw her in here because she works. Randy Weingarten, the head of the American Teachers Federation.
Oh, yeah.
And they were working hand in glove. Mm-hmm. Weingarten's may even make more than Fauci. She makes $450,000 a year and was responsible in large part for keeping American school kids out for 2 years, ruining their lives, sending half of them to psych wards and the other half to remedial reading classes. And meanwhile, Fauci was listening to his overseers and shaping his public policy towards what they wanted him to do and say.
And how we got from that gaming and from those statements to, does anybody think it might have been accidentally come from the Wuhan lab?
How could that possibly be?
And I'm like, might have accidentally.
Right. And it was such a bummer for me because I had a whole plan to set up these bat wet markets, where I could sell live bats and slightly fricasseed and roasted. And
drive-through is the big deal on that.
And with bats. And now that's shot, right? No Thanks, good. Anthony Fauci, for that.
Yeah.
Anyhow. No, he's my number one. And your Biden one is very clever, but it kind of violates the spirit of it. He is an office holder.
So then I've got to say it. I've got to go up there with Soros then.
Soros is he an American citizen?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Speaking of Superman villains, right?
Yeah.
His name's an acronym.
Yes. Well, no, no.
Yes, SOROS.
No, that's not an acronym. That's another word. For
No, acronym. It's not an acronym. You're right. It's a palindrome.
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 Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
knew it's another word I didn't know.
Oh, I should know palindrome. All my years of Greek, I'm just being stupid. Soros is palindrome.
Soros.
Palin, backwards. Drome, run backwards. No, but he's from Hungary originally. His real name is Schwartz. I mean, there's probably not an evil thing he hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
Bankrupted England, and they forgave him for that because he was at least the left because he was on the right side of all their issues. But
and if you're listening and you're watching this and you're a leftist or you're a proud Democrat and you think Soros is just another great guy, and if you've never seen the interview from 60 Minutes where he talked about his Nazi days in World War II, where he happily helped the Nazis strip the Jews of their property, and he would basically finger these people. And
he was Jewish himself. He was an adolescent at the time. I don't think he's practicing anything. But
they asked him about it.
Yeah.
And how did he have any guilt pangs or anything?
Right.
Not at all. No, not at all. Nah.
Good George Soros accent. Hey, thank you all for listening in today. You're listening, of course, to Upstream with Cashill and Edge. We'll be back next week with another scintillating episode. I know it's hard to be more scintillating than this one, but
looking forward to it.
And
thanks, Jack.
Yeah, thank you, Loy, and thank you,
America.
Mr. and Mrs. America. Is it how did Walter Winchell sign off?
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North and South America, and all the ships and clippers at sea.
There you go.
Let's go to press.
Until next week. Thank you.